No, you see around there. It's a pub. Now, I don't want to be unkind. I haven't been in there. I don't go into pubs. I can't afford to. Having wasted so many years of my life with the pretenders who say they're going to get involved in environmental projects. It's over. That's what my schism last November, December. But it is all summed up by a simple thing. And all you want in life is somebody who's mindful or intelligent enough to just accept. Probably, although I have to say the milk in the shop is a very good price, probably it's £2 for an orange juice there. Now, most ordinary little pubs, certainly in my past region, you can even get an orange juice for 75p. So for that you have to partly corrupt yourself. And Britain is just full. Britain is a service economy. What does that mean? 20 years we've had this. But gradually it's got more dubious and more dubious. What does that mean? That means somebody who passes themselves off. I mean, it's technically illegal to pass yourself off as something for money that you're not. They call themselves a relationship counsellor, which is tragic. Everything I ever say is an invitation. I've had to issue myself these invitations in the past. Do something else? You're corrupting yourself. I've done that 3 or 4 times in life. But when you pass yourself off as a relationship counsellor and actually state, I really want to make alliance, let's just call it alliance, work, and then cannot even receive the line, well, maybe it's just an inappropriate line, you don't know, but can't accept that, as everybody does, that everything's become too controlly by a certain kind of messaging. So controlly. And it's always to the weak person, sadly. That's why I issue invitations. Be somebody else. It's possible. Right? But the weak person controls their level of digital. Everybody settles down and does a reasonable level of digital eventually. But then they can't take. So what is your truth? I'm not sure it's really coming out. When being a relationship counsellor is exactly about whatever your truth is. There comes a point where you have to that's the point of, we're not talking about being teenagers or in your 20s. What do they say now? Hookups. We're talking about, somebody who will say to adults, and the point of a relationship, the whole of society is based on support by one's partner. Anyway, it's just absurd. This is, oh shit. God, I hate this plastic bench. I wish there was a wooden bench, but no, it's fucking plastic. Right. But you can't do anything. You can't do anything with, these are the default settings. Even somebody who one would expect to understand what the need for allies. It's the ultimate, but this is the key. This is the only reason I put the camera on. It's the ultimate in absurdist. It's the dead end for society. And the reason I put the camera on is this. You see, I've been through periods of my life which are not brilliant. And I know that it's good to set an example. I mean, I do say to people, God, I would never. Bizarrely, I was never a show-off. Never. In spite of the bizarre career. I always wanted a humble looking car, really, deep down, after a few silly years that weren't me. It's about humility. But what does humility really mean? You see, it means when we, as we all do, have had phases when we're part of the problem, then eventually turning around and offering to the world, hey, I was part of the problem, and in this particular situation. It's everywhere now. It's all sad. It's all, you see, it's the mainly women doing this, sitting behind their computers. That this just became a pandemic after about 2021, trying to earn money by being something they've got no conceivable qualification. I don't mean official qualification. As a person, they are a joke. Now, I've been that. I was even a pilot, and I was a bad pilot. I got to be very, very highly qualified, young, but I was bad. I was dangerous because I wasn't happy, grounded, and I didn't understand life. It was only when I met Katrina and found out how to be a human. Until then, I was an unsafe pilot. I took risks that were dangerous, and I am glad I can offer that as an example to other people. I'd make a fucking film about it if somebody wanted. I'm not ashamed about it because I understand. I was not grounded. I didn't know really what a proper relationship was. But over the years I learned. So someone who's everything I'm about, I'd just like to find somebody who could function effectively, reasonably quickly, and get the fuck on with it. Doing something. They should be writing something great. One person I know, Mrs. Relationship Counsellor, has got great writing in her. Anyway, that's far too intrusive. But the point is, you see, this largely women, but men do it as well, sitting behind their screens. You cannot be human. You cannot, because you're actually afraid of being recorded too, right? You cannot say, actually, do you know what, I've got this wrong. And life should be an invitation to not to change, that's too much of a big word. Life should be an invitation to gradually see if we can go about life in a different way. And that cannot happen with this whole, because they've bought in. Their PR is, I can do this for you as a service provider in the service economy. And if I can charge a bit more, I'm a bit better. Well, no, if I'm a bit charmier, a bit more thrilling than that one down there, I might be able to afford the more expensive orange juice. That's all that Britain became. It's tragic. And it's one of the reasons why this is one of the worst rabbit holes you can imagine. Because I have observed and rubbed along with many such people over the last 10 to 15 years. And Einstein said the definition of madness is to keep on doing the same things. Society is less able for its people to get together, their relationships to be counselled, etc., etc. It's just basically crows picking at a mess. And it's not good being a crow picking at a mess, or a raven, or a magpie. There you go. Yeah. That's what what's his face was. This is hedgehog skin. Yeah, magpies. Just got magpies. They're beautiful. They're sexy. They can dance, but they don't do themselves any good. That's what I care about. Because only when you've had yourself, you've gone through your baptisms of fire and gradually thrown aside selves which were inauthentic. Only then are you happy and strong, so you can maybe tackle something slightly more useful to society. And this has been known for thousands of years, certainly 100 years. But all of these bloody little, none of them would actually ever call themselves gurus, but they're sitting there behind their computer lonely, and they're up late at night, and that makes you lonely and sad and bitter. It does. You cannot have bright eyes if you're up late at night on your screen. That, by definition, I mean, the amount of women who pretend to be these slight gurus, and I've known quite a few from the past place, who are at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can see they've put something on Facebook. What? Well, clearly your guru-ness doesn't work very well for you, because you're only sit there, basically you're an addict to, you can't sleep, staying up late at night, putting crap on Facebook, to magpie other people. And every single thing, I've kind of done it with one of them, bizarrely, every single thing should be an invitation. Hey, maybe that you could set an example. I mean, I've set an example. I say to people, and it's actually probably true, I exaggerated, I turn the rhetoric slightly, a little bit more, I'm the only commercial pilot ever who 25 years ago gave back their license. Well, I let it expire, but nobody does that because you have to be around for a kid. And anyway, certainly more private aviation, in other words, an aircraft the size of that red one or a bit smaller with 3 people on board is not viable with the future of the planet. And private aviation has only expanded, so I'm a fool, but I just try and set an example. So if you're doing something that's not making you happy and centered and brave and bright-eyed, I can see that's the case. Set an example over time and say, do you know what, I was doing something that was actually slightly corrupt. It was certainly inauthentic. But no, nobody could think like that, and you probably get arrested for saying this. There you go. I know that history will judge me, unless we carry on going completely toxic womble, which is quite possible, in which case, there we go, but I'll just leave. I'd enough. So boring. So boring knowing that nobody, and I've been in this situation with men, campaigning men who get themselves stuck because they're being, it's arrogance. At the end of the day, actually, it is arrogance. They're arrogant, so they're stuck. They've fucked up slightly or deluded slightly, and it's not gone well. But they can't just say, "Hey, I'm gonna change this the way I'm being here." Sorry, we can't do that. Right. Action stations, maybe.